Nickelodeon.
Well, I did this for Smash Ultimate a few years ago, and a bunch of my predictions got in there. So let's see if that was just a coincidence or if I'm a prophet. Officially revealed on July 13th by IGN with like a 2-minute exclusivity window, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl will be the next big crossover extravaganza video game from Game Mill Entertainment, since apparently go-karts have just become a little too complex for them, and now some of Nickelodeon's favorite cash cows will duke it out in the Smash Arena. And yes, I said the Smash Arena, because this looks like a watered-down Super Smash Bros. In every conceivable way. A roster of characters from various franchises who share a commonality of medium duking it out in side-scrolling arenas also based on the various franchises that the fighters are pulled from. The biggest difference here is that when a large lizard lord smacks around a pesky pink pest, instead of it being King K. Rool smacking Kirby around, it'll be Reptar flattening Helga Pataki. And you know what surprises me the most about this whole thing? Not that it exists, because honestly, I'm just surprised it took Nickelodeon this long to make a brawler like this, if only because they've had their hands in a lot of different video games over the years. No, if you ask me, what surprises me the most is that the game actually looks kinda alright. Don't get me wrong, Smash Brothers, this is not.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself?
The character models are nowhere near as detailed as even the most basic ones in something like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The roster shown off for the trailer isn't nearly as extensive as even the original Smash Bros., as it relies a lot on multiple characters from singular franchises, a crutch that really only later entries in Smash relied on. And the gameplay looks as basic as they come. Though that could also just be because I can't actually see the gameplay because the camera won't stop moving around. Just hold still for one goddamn second and let me see your gun! And now here we are with a Nickelodeon-based fighting game on our hands, which of course means it's time for me to then speculate about what characters might be coming into the game. These characters could be part of a day one package, they could be DLC later down the line. I honestly don't know, and it doesn't really matter to me. When it comes to the 10 characters that I have selected for today's list, I would just want to see them in the game, honestly. I limited myself to one character per franchise to make it somewhat fair because, let's be frank, there are certain franchises I prefer over others. But otherwise, this is more just me goofing around, having fun, choosing characters that I would want to see in the game, based on nothing more than I like that character or the show that they're from, or that I thought of something funny to say about them, let's be frank. Also, I am a 90s kid, and as such, I am contractually obligated to see anything released after 2010 as inferior. So don't be surprised when I don't include characters from Fanboy and Chum Chum, Glitch Tex, or Tough Puppy, because I haven't seen them, they're garbage by default as a result based on my biased old millennial brain, and we're just going to move on. This will hopefully be a fun one, so let's get into it.
I'll put that flea in a box, and then I'll put that box inside of another box, and then I'll nail that box to myself.
Danny Phantom had an elaborate rogues gallery of villains that he fought against during the show's 3 seasons on par with Batman, several of which could be added into All Star Brawl. You have Skulker, Ember, Technus, Vlad Masters, a nerd. But if you ask me, there's only one ghost adversary that's almost as iconic as Danny himself. And while he may not be the most powerful ghost in the show, he'll certainly be someone to look out for in this game.
I am the Box Ghost!
The Box Ghost, as I said, might be one of the weaker adversaries for Danny, considering his entire purpose in the show is to haunt boxes and their contents, be a minor annoyance to Danny and friends, and get with the Lunch Lady Ghost in the future so that they can have a daughter named Lunchbox, whose very existence I'm sure was made purely for that pun. So while Skulker or Ember might be more recognizable adversaries and more likely to get in, they would pale in comparison to the Box Ghost for one simple reason. He'd be in a fighting game now, where hitboxes are a crucial component to everything. The Box Ghost will literally be the most OP character in the game, with the ability to haunt and control his opponent's hitboxes. Imagine trying to do anything in the game, and the Box Ghost comes along and shouts, before he throws you around like Hulk did to Loki in the Avengers. Combine that with his standard ghost abilities of intangibility, invisibility, flight, and body manipulation, and the Box Ghost won't just put you in a box in the ground, he'll help you pick it out.
Not for the hair, I want a chinny chin chin.
Aside from SpongeBob and the Rugrats, The Fairly OddParents is one of the longest running shows on the network, so it would only make sense for a character from that series to be added to the roster of playable fighters. But considering the wide variety of nearly omnipotent characters in Fairly OddParents, I can understand why we may not have seen someone from the show being added to the roster just yet. But chin up, Fairly Odd fans. There's sure to be at least one character cleft from the jaws of the show and will wedge himself into the mandible of the game. Hey, wait a minute. First premiering in episode 9 of the show's first season, the Crimson Chin may not be one of the biggest mainstays of the series, but he would fit the fold of a fighting character a lot more than Crocker, who all you would really need to do is bend over your leg and snap in half to take him out of the fight. The Crimson Chin also works as a good foil to Powdered Toast Man, what with both of them being large-bodied super dudes with abnormally shaped heads. And even when it comes to alternate costumes, assuming that that's a thing in the game, the Crimson Chin already has the perfect one in the form of the Nega Chin. Honestly, the only characters I can think of that I would even potentially want other than the Crimson Chin would be Jorgen or Doug Dimmadome. But sadly, both of them fall under the aforementioned nearly omnipotent category, so I'll take the buff Jay Leno as drawn by Patton Oswalt instead.
Touch the Bidoof.
When it comes to characters that are best paired together, similar to Ice Climbers in Smash, I can think of no better pair to shove together than Dag and Norb, the Angry Beavers. While the idea of two feuding brother beavers cooperating might seem like a stretch too far at first, I more imagine them trying to shove each other out of the way rather than working together like they did in their original opening animation. Climbing over one another to try and launch up to an edge, one of them using the other like a club, their slat fights dragging other fighters into their cartoon cloud of carnage and eventually launching them back out. The mere concept of a two-person fighter bickering with each other sounds hilarious to me, and who better to embody that than the original Angry Brothers of Nick? I don't know, maybe JD and Spitfire? I don't know who these are because, as I mentioned, I'm a bitter millennial and have not watched anything that came out after 2010 from Nickelodeon, so I'll take beavers over bots any day.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Most well-constructed fighting games often feature a structure that involves telegraphing attacks and obvious tells, giving players an opening to block or counter as a result. Some of my personal favorite characters have this functionality built into their fighting style, but also look like they're just flailing about randomly and acting like wild animals rather than calm, cool, collected fighters. Mortal Kombat has a few, but Borai Cho with his drunken boxing comes to mind. Street Fighter had Oro and his weird body movements with his mastery of Senjutsu, and Nickelodeon All Star Brawl could have Donnie from the Wild Thornberries.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, but I like the way you say it.
The literal wild child of the Thornberry family, Donnie is a manic young boy raised by orangutans that would fit perfectly into the frantic chaos of a Nickelodeon fighter. His incredible speed in the show could translate into the game, making him akin to Sonic from Smash Bros, and with his wild mannerisms and incessant babbling, he could be a true wild card within the roster. While I'm more than happy to see Nigel Thornberry in the game, I think this little flea voiced by Flea would make for a truly wild addition.
Mo, bitch! That's my boy!
So this is how it's gonna be, huh? Oh, you can talk a big game about how you want Otis, that he deserves to be added into the video game celebrating Nickelodeon history, and you don't even give Heifer a chance? I see all you fake Nickelodeon fans out there, wanting the cow from Barnyard because he made fun of a mailman that one time, and yet you won't even give Nickelodeon's original steer a chance? Fake fans, the lot of you. First y'all wanted Goku in Smash Bros, now it's Otis in All Star Brawl. Next you're gonna tell me you want the Joker in Mortal Kombat. What?
Well, hello, beautiful.
Oh, god damn it! Heifer is a rotund, fearless steer raised by wolves who were so endeared to him that they chose not to eat him. He literally charmed his way out of death. Combine that with Tom Kenny's incredible vocal performance, his relatively original design compared to most other cow characters, he's just a, in general, better character in my mind. And you have a character I would rather see added to the game than this guy. Otis is not necessarily a bad character, I just find that he has no character outside of being some hot-headed leader type. And one meme-worthy scene of him doesn't really cut it for me. Heifer is the one character on my list that I put in more out of spite than anything else. But if he gets in over Otis, I can certainly say that that would be a hoot. One of the shows I remember watching on and off when I was younger was Robot Boy, a show about a white and blue robot who gets paired up with a human sidekick so he can learn how to be a human while occasionally fighting evil villains. I thought it was a generally alright show with some okay jokes here or there, and wait, that was a Cartoon Network show? One of the shows I remember watching on and off when I was younger was My Life as a Teenage Robot, a show about a white and blue robot who gets paired up with a human sidekick so she can learn how to be a human while occasionally fighting evil villains. It was a generally alright show with some okay jokes and some memorable characters, and I think Jenny would be an excellent addition to this game as a result. Her wide arsenal of weapons and gadgets could make her a fun projectile-based character that doesn't have to just use a gun, and in recent years people have been rediscovering the show and enjoying it, so it'd be a nice way to acknowledge this character's history and appease those fans. Now if I can just get that stupid I Am a Robot song out of my head, I'll be fine and dandy.
Money, 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 money. We can't keep doing this, Bob.
Considering SpongeBob is undoubtedly Nickelodeon's most successful property, I wouldn't be surprised if they try and shove more SpongeBob characters into the roster, like Super Smash Bros does with Fire Emblem characters or Super Mario characters who aren't Waluigi. And since Nickelodeon basically turned into a money-hungry conglomerate after the initial success of SpongeBob, the hunger doubling once Steve Hillenburg died and they were allowed to make spin-off shows, it only makes sense to bring in the money-hungry crustacean Mr. Krabs. If it's a choice between Squidward, Plankton, or Mr. Krabs, I would personally take the big red man himself. His larger size and big meaty claws could lend themselves well to an all-out brawl, and if nothing else, it'd give SpongeBob a chance to let out any pent-up aggression towards his boss. I honestly don't have much to say here since this is one of the entries on my list that I've seen a lot of other people have on theirs. The only thing I ask is that they add a potential alternate costume of Mr. Krabs in his SpongeBob the Musical outfit, and I'll be happy.
Shh, not now, son. I'm making toast.
You know what archetype that Smash has been missing in its roster for years? The mad scientist. Someone who uses mechanical marvels and powerful potions to dispatch enemies, summon minions, and more. And I think Nickelodeon All Star Brawl should innovate on the genre and bring in a mad scientist of their own. And thanks to the long history of Nicktoons and the various properties, there's actually a pretty wide variety to choose from. There's Jack and Maddie Fenton from Danny Phantom, Nora Wakeman from My Life as a Teenage Robot, Plankton, Crocker, but I already chose characters from each of those franchises. So let's go with my personal favorite scientist from Nickelodeon.
Not scientifically possible!
No, but it is. Professor Membrane might be only a minor character in the grand scheme of Invader Zim, and the more likely inclusion would be his son Dib thanks to his rivalry with Zim. But I mean, come on. Look at him. If anyone could be considered a mad scientist, it's this guy. He might not have nefarious inventions or whatever, but you know there's some skeletons in his closet that he'd be willing to enter a no-holds-barred cage match with children and anthropomorphic animals to keep that shit buried. Professor Membrane is my pick for the mad scientist character, and I expect royalties for creating this new fighting game character archetype.
What you currently have is art!
When I was younger, I used to do a lot of drawing. I drew comics about superheroes, fantastical worlds, simple slice-of-life stuff, and more. And for a while, even considered turning some of those drawings into a webcomic. I bring this up because a show like Chalk Zone, where a young boy dreams about superheroes, fantastical worlds, slice-of-life stuff, and more, spoke to me. And I saw myself in the main character, Rudy. Now, the main reason I would personally want to see Rudy added into the game is that I think they could really have some fun with his moveset. Give him the standard sort of punches and kicks you'd expect from a fighting game like this, but then throw in references to other Chalk Zone characters through some of his other more powerful attacks. Things like having him charge forward on Skrawl's back, slam down on enemies from above with Blocky, or fly up with Snap's help. Sort of like a mix between Pokemon Trainer and Pac-Man from Smash Bros, but with chalk drawings and not terrible. I have a personal love for Chalk Zone, and considering Nickelodeon hasn't even really referenced it in years, that leads me to believe that this is one of those truly off-the-wall hopefuls. But maybe I'm just drawing conclusions too early, and we'll see Rudy added to the brawl in no time.
I release a sonic wave from my mouth.
Taking another look at the box art that's been revealed for the game, and one of the stages shown off in the reveal trailer, it seems like a safe bet that Aang and Korra from Avatar The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra respectively will be playable fighters in the game. And while some of y'all might want to see Katara or Asami make it into the game alongside them, I want to remind you all who the real champion of the Avatar crew is. Toph Bay Fong is the Blind Bandit champion of Earth Rumble 4, the inventor of metal bending, arguably the best character in the whole dang show, don't at me, and my pick for an additional Avatar rep, hands down. The only way you could get me to choose Katara over Toph would be if they let Katara bloodbend, but since that's taboo or whatever, I'll stick with the blind girl who wouldn't be afraid to wrap someone's skeleton in stone and then make them walk off the edge. And as far as Zuko's concerned, he might as well be playing with matches compared to the raw power beneath Toph's feet. The only real issue I can foresee Toph running into is that, with her being blind, she can't see opponents jumping through the air. But when she can hear them coming and make a rock pillar shoot out of the ground in an instant to strike them, it'd just be like swatting flies for her. I genuinely don't have any jokes that would do her justice. Toph is just my personal favorite character in The Last Airbender, and her likely OP inclusion in the game would absolutely rock. I mean, come on, you know I had to throw at least one rock pun in there. And there you have it. Another list of 10 characters related to a fighting game. But this time I think some of these might actually not have a chance to get in just based on their obscurity. But I would just want to see them in the game. Assuming, of course, that they have more characters to announce that they might be adding either to the original roster or later in the game. But they also haven't revealed everyone technically in the trailer, because there are a couple shadows on the box art here that kind of look like certain characters, so we'll just have to wait and see what they do, I guess. I honestly don't know at this point if I'm genuinely excited for the game, just enjoying all the memes, or some combination of both. But either way, this was a fun way for me to go down a bit of a nostalgia trip and look back at some of my favorite shows from when I was younger. Are there any characters that you're interested in adding into the game? I mean, let me know down in the comments below, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube-y stuff sort of thing. And I'll just see all of you in the next video. Take care.